व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः.
In the last class, we concluded the first chapter, which is giving the background for the teaching to take place. In what situation Bhagavan Sri Krishna gave the teaching to Arjuna. And it is useful, necessary to understand the background of the teaching so that we can relate to the teaching given. And the background story, background situation was presented in the first chapter, which has got 47 verses. And 1 to 20 verses are just describing the preparation for the war. The war is going to begin. And before the actual war starts, there is some dialogue between Duryodhana and his guru Dronacharya, and this Bhishma Pitamaha blowing the conch, others following it. Pandava side also conches were blown, and then the war was about to start. And that is given, this description of the preparation for the war was given. 21 to 25. In these 5 shlokas, Arjuna is requesting Bhagavan to place his chariot between the two armies so that he can see both the sides, so he can decide with whom he has to start fighting the war. And Bhagavan very obediently did that. He placed the chariot between the two armies, especially in front of Bhishma Pitamaha Drona etc. Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham cha Mahikshita. So in front of them he put the chariot. So far so good. But then from 26 to 28, the description of the change of perception of Arjuna is given, where Arjuna, instead of looking upon the people present there as warriors, he started looking upon them as his relatives. So his attachment to his relatives was surfaced. And because of that, Kripaya Paraya Vishtaha, he was overpowered by the feeling of attachment. And when attachment is there, the next consequence is sorrow, fear and sorrow. And that sorrow was described from 28 to 30. Intense sorrow. Why sorrow was intense? Because the attachment was intense. As we have seen, that sorrow produced is directly proportional to the intensity of attachment. And Arjuna's attachment was very intense. And therefore, by mere thought of separation from them, created grief. When I love somebody or when I am attached to someone so much, then very thought of separation from them, it will be very frightening. It will create grief. So people don't want to even think because that thought is frightening. And Arjuna had this sorrow that was described in these three verses 28 to 30. And Arjuna said, I have intense sorrow. I am not able to even stand. My mind is reeling. Such a great warrior, he got into this problem of intense sorrow. And when the attachment and sorrow are there, then the next consequence is moha. Moha means what? Confused thinking, wrong thinking. Right is seen as wrong, wrong is seen as right. Dharma was seen as adharma, adharma was seen as dharma. And in this state of confusion, it is not that a person does not think. He thinks, but he thinks wrongly. Simply he sleeps, then perhaps problem may be less. Sometimes non-thinking is okay, but wrong thinking is more dangerous. And that's what happened. Arjuna started giving the arguments why he should not do his duty of protection of dharma by fighting this war. He gave these two sets of arguments. The first set of argument was based on individual benefit. From personal angle, he gave the arguments, saying that this war will not give us happiness. By killing our own people, how can we be happy? All these things we are doing for our relatives only, and they themselves will be killed. Then what for? For whom all this kingdom, enjoyments, comforts? Therefore, I don't want. So that was from personal angle. Then he gave the arguments from social angle based on Dharma Shastra. That if this war happens, then many great people will be destroyed, and because of that, their families will be without the leader, and then family will be losing dharma, and when dharma is gone, adharma will overpower, and when adharma is overpower, then people will have consideration of only artha and kama, wealth and enjoyment, and then the purity of the family values will not be maintained, and there will be admixture of these classes, and people will not have dharmic values, cultural values, family traditions, and therefore what will happen? People will stop doing what the religious practices which they were doing earlier. So future generation will be affected because they will not have role models. Past generation will be affected because they will not attain the Shraddha and Tarpana. Present generation, of course, will be losing the leaders, so their life will be overpowered by adharma. And therefore, he said, this is not a good idea. He said, how come we thought of going for this war just for getting some kingdom comforts? It was a mistake. So he forgot that point which I had been highlighting during this first chapter explanation, that Arjuna did a mistake of understanding the choice. He thought there is a choice between relatives and comforts. If that was the choice and he chose relatives, it is all right. But there was no choice between relatives and comforts. There was a choice between relatives and dharma. And that he missed. He wrongly perceived the choice available. And because of that, he had a lot of confusion. And then he said, I am not going to fight. Even if Duryodhana kills me, I will not resist. So that moha and conclusion based on moha is from 31 to 46. And lastly, Arjuna exhausted himself and he sat at the backside of the chariot. Shoka Sambigdha Manasa. with his mind overwhelmed by sorrow. And sorrow stands for other two problems, raga and moha. A typical picture of samsari. Every samsari will have the problem of raga, shoka and moha. And then Sanjaya, in the last sloka, he concluded describing the situation of Arjuna by saying that Arjuna gave up his arrows and bow and he was with sword. So with this, the first chapter was concluded. In the first chapter, the problem of samsara was described because we need to understand the problem to solve it properly. So symptoms of samsara, raga, shoka and moha, this attachment, grief and confusion, wrong thinking, these three symptoms were presented. And this chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga because it is talking about the sadness, sorrow of Arjuna. Why should we study sorrow of Arjuna? Because his sorrow led him to inquiry because of his dharmic background. This point we had seen in the last class. That sorrow can take the person to alcohol also, drugs also. When person is very depressed and all, or feeling very ambushed, then he can go for alcohol. Or he can go to a Swami. He can go to some master. How it will be decided whether a person will go to a Swami, a master, or he will go to bar? It is decided by the background the person has. If a person has got the background of some dharma, dharmic life, then his punya will take him to some master, some guide. And that is what Arjuna is going to do. And with this, the first chapter was concluded, where the symptoms of samsara were presented. And this raga, shoka, moha are the symptoms. They themselves are not the original disease or the fundamental problem. My shoka, my sorrow is there because of my attachment, raga dveshas. Why do I have raga dvesha? Why I like something? Why am I attached to something when I hate something? The reason is I find myself to be limited, a wanting person. I always want something. I am not comfortable with what is. Always this should change, that should change. I am not comfortable. I am finding myself to be limited, wanting person. And therefore, I will superimpose the fulfillment of life on some people, some objects, and some situation. That's what people will say, Swamiji, that person is my whole world. He means the whole world to me. It means I am superimposing the fulfillment on a particular person, particular situation, particular objects. Why? Because I do not find myself to be a fulfilled person. And I want to be a fulfilled person. And therefore, I have raga and dvesha. So my sense of limitation, I am limited, I am incomplete, I am a wanting person. This sense of lacuna, the middle age crisis, they say, Swamiji, I have reached everything, still something is missing. Some hollowness is there. And that was there all the time. But up to 45 or something, person was busy climbing up the ladder of the promotion, etc. Therefore, he did not pay attention so much. But it was there all the time. And now he become little bit aware of it. So sense of limitation leads to raga and dvesha. Likes and dislikes. And why do I have sense of limitation? In the vision of Shastra, I by myself am limitless, but I have identified with what I am not. And what I am not is very limited, the body mind sense complex. So I find myself to be limited because I identified with limited. And why do I identify with limited? Because I do not know my true nature. So ignorance leads to identification with what I am not and what is limited. And that identification with non-self leads to sense of limitation. Sense of limitation leads to likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes lead to sorrow and confusion. This is the analysis of the problem of samsara. So fundamental cause is ignorance, and ignorance born wrong conclusions. Therefore, what a person needs is removal of this ignorance of oneself. And for removal of ignorance, one needs knowledge, because ignorance can go only by knowledge. And knowledge can come only by using appropriate means of knowledge. An appropriate means of knowledge for Atma Jnanam, for knowing Atma, is Shastram, Vedanta, and not by oneself, studying oneself. Vedanta from the teacher. So, listening or learning Vedanta from the teacher is the means for getting knowledge of oneself, being limitless, and that knowledge will be possible when I approach the teacher, Guru Upasadanam, Shraddha in teacher. All these things have to happen. And in case of Arjuna, right now still he is in the mode of sorrow. He has not thought of this solution in the form of approaching the master. And in our tradition, that convention is that unless one asks for Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya, it will not be given. Aprushtaha na bruyat kasyachit. Without asking, this Brahma Vidya should not be given. And therefore, Bhagavan, even though he knows that Arjuna's problem is because of ignorance and ignorance born wrong conclusions, and he has solution also, but still he cannot give. Why? Because Arjuna has not asked for it. And Arjuna is going to ask. And before that, what happens is described in the beginning of the second chapter. We will read. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः.
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः.
संजय उवाच.
संजय उवाच.
तथा कृपयाविष्टम्
तथा कृपयाविष्टम्
अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम्
अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम्
विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम्
विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम्
उवाच मधुसूदनः.
उवाच मधुसूदनः.
So before giving the final solution, in between, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is giving some pep talk, some motivational talk to Arjuna to get him up, because he was seated with dejection, frustration, sadness. So Bhagavan wanted to give some first aid, and therefore he is going to talk to Arjuna in the second and third verses. That is introduced by Sanjaya. So before giving the Atma Vidya, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is going to try to motivate Arjuna from that slumberness from that from that dejection, despair, and that is introduced Sanjaya Uvacha, by Sanjaya. So Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya is the secretary to Dhritarashtra, who is reporting what has happened in the Mahabharata battlefield. And that Sanjaya is going to introduce Bhagavan Sri Krishna's sentences, which Bhagavan is going to tell Arjuna. And here, one interesting note is made by the commentators. He says Sanjay Uvacha has got a significance. What? Sanjaya was reporting to Dhritarashtra, and he has already reported the first chapter. What has happened? That Arjuna is feeling frustrated, Arjuna is feeling dejected, and he is sitting quietly. He has already given up his bow and arrows. Listening to that, Dhritarashtra may be getting some hope. What? Maybe Arjuna decided to leave the war. My sons will get this kingdom without any effort. How nice. Without doing anything on the part of my children, they will continue to have the kingdom they can enjoy. Like sometimes, some tennis player, he withdraws from the game. Therefore what? Other person will walk over. So similarly, my children, they will get this kingdom without even fighting the war. How nice it will be. Because Arjuna is now thinking ahimsa paramo dharmaha, I should run away. Means he is thinking of taking sannyasa. Very good. It is like two brothers is there. One brother is thinking of sannyasa, other brother is happy. I will get the whole property. So like that, Dhritarashtra was thinking like this. That's what happens. We always want others to be good so that we can continue to have our weakness. I want others to be very understanding, forgiving, so that I can do all my mistakes. I can continue with my mistakes. I will not correct my mistake, but I want others to be very understanding, forgiving, very patient, compassionate. So Dhritarashtra was having such thinking. How nice if Arjuna, these Pandavas, being very good people, they should leave the war and they should give this kingdom. They should allow my children to enjoy the kingdom. That's a human mind. We want others to be good, others to change, so that I can continue to be what I am. Whatever my weakness, I will continue to have. It's a wrong thing. Right approach of a sadhaka is whether other people change or not, I will change. Let me be a part of the solution, not the part of a problem. That should be the approach. Generally, what happens? We become part of the problem, not ready to be a part of the solution. We contribute to the rise of problem, intensification of problem, not ready to become a part of solution. Because many a times, to become a part of solution, you have to sacrifice. And we always want other to sacrifice. So, Dhritarashtra was thinking like this. How nice. Arjuna left the bow and arrows, and therefore, my children, no fight, continue to have kingdom. That type of thought might come to Dhritarashtra. So Sanjaya must have figured out. Perhaps he must have seen a smile on the face of Dhritarashtra. That's like that. Oh, good. So Sanjaya wants to dismiss that idea. Don't have such hopes. He said, as if Sanjaya thinks that I will dismiss that hope, and therefore he introduces. Otherwise, first chapter matter should be concluded. He said, no, there is a turn. So what happens? That he introduces. Main sentence here is Tam idam vakyam Madhusudana uvacha. Madhusudana Shri Krishna uvacha told. Idam vakyam, this following sentence, Tam to Arjuna. Bhagavan Shri Krishna told the following sentence to Arjuna, that Arjuna. And what type of Arjuna? That is described here. Tatha krupaya avishtam. That Arjuna who was avishtam, overpowered by kripa. Here kripa has got the meaning attachment. Mama ete iti vyamoha nimitta sneha vishesha. Kripa. Particular type of attachment based on the thinking that these people belong to me, I belong to them. I belong to them, they belong to me. This type of wrong thinking is there, and therefore raga is there. The fact is, nobody belongs to anybody. But we think this person belongs to me, I belong to them. And we get some feeling from the person. That person tells you, I belong to you. So I like to hear this. Most of the people like to hear this. When somebody say, I belong to you, I feel good. Means I deserve that position. I deserve the status that somebody tells me I belong to you. And I also like to say to someone, I belong to you. That sense of belonging is such a great requirement. That is why these many organizations flourish because of this requirement. Because organization gives you feeling what? You belong to us. You belong to this organization. You feel good. Yes, you have something to say. I belong to that. I belong to that particular sect. I belong to that organization. And based on that, attachment starts. People fight my organization, my sect, my community. The attachment is so strong, they fight, kill each other. So this attachment is called here Kripa. So Arjuna was overpowered by this attachment to his relatives. Last class, in the previous classes, we have seen that love for someone is a great quality. But when love becomes attachment, then it is a problem for you, and in course of time, problem for others. When I am attached to someone, it is not only a bondage to me, it can to some extent become bondage to others if other person is not mature. What is the difference between love and attachment? Love is unconditional. Real love is unconditional. I love unconditional relative sense, of course. So I appreciate the person the way he is, she is, and I do not expect anything in return. Whereas in attachment, there is a business. I do this to you, you have to do this to me. Even parents have got this feeling of investment. See, Swamiji, I am investing on my children, so when I grow old, I will get returns. Like you invest in some, insurance company, then after 25, 30 years, they will give you so much pension and all this. So that's what you are doing on children. People have this thing. Love means what? I love them, I care for them, I appreciate them. They are gift of God to me. I take care of them. And I enjoy taking care of them. And I do not expect that in future they should take care of me. It is good for them if they take care of me. It will be nice if they can. But I am not putting this condition in my mind. Because if you have conditional relationship and when conditions are not fulfilled, you will be frustrated. You will be dejected. You will be feeling the disillusionment. Instead of that, I enjoy doing what I am doing now. I enjoy parenting the children. That's what. And then I grow. So love is a very healthy quality. It expands you. It makes your heart more and more caring. It makes your heart soft. Whereas in attachment, your heart is distorted. Your heart is spoiled with this expectation, insistence. Attachment comes from weakness. Love comes from strength. So we have seen the difference. So here we are not talking about that noble quality of love. It is the attachment Arjuna was overpowered by. In love, you do not lose sight of facts. In attachment, you want facts to be different. And therefore, when my object of attachment is likely to go, there is a sorrow. Whereas in love, I have given my love and care, and anything which has come has to go. I am ready to let it go. So in love, you have objectivity. In attachment, there is subjectivity. When objectivity is there, sorrow will not be there. When subjectivity is there, sorrow is there. Therefore, attachment leads to sorrow. Love doesn't lead to sorrow. So here, Kripaya Vishtam. And because of his attachment, what is the consequence? Ashru Purna Kulekshanam. Ikshanam is eyes. The eyes of Arjuna were Ashru Purna, full of tears, and Akula, blood, could not see properly. So Arjuna's eyes were full of tears and blood because of tears. And this is a description to show the intensity of sorrow. Arjuna, who was known for his manliness, his bravery, that Arjuna is having so much tears. It is not that man should not have tears, etc. But in this war situation also he got tears. Shows that his sorrow is so intense. And Vishidantam, he is grieving. Why he was having tears? Vishidantam. He was grieving. So much intense sorrow was that. To such Arjuna, in other words, Samsari Arjuna. Arjuna who was this overwhelmed by the problems of samsara, symptoms of samsara, to that Arjuna, Madhusudanaha idam vakyam, this following sentence, vacha. And Madhusudana is a very beautiful word. Puranic meaning of Madhusudana is Bhagavan Sri Krishna as Vishnu had killed one asura, one demon called Madhu. Is a pair, Madhu and Kaitaba. So out of these two, Madhu is one of them. And he killed this Madhu, therefore is called Madhusudana. Sudana means destroyer, killer. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna as Vishnu had killed Madhu, therefore is called Madhusudana. But in spiritual context, if we see this word, Madhu can stand for ego, ahankara. Because Madhu has got one more meaning, honey, sweet, pleasant, dear. Therefore, husband and wife, they call each other honey, honey, honey. So, somebody, that servant lady who did not know this. So, husband was addressing his wife as honey, honey. So, she thought it is her name. So, she told her, honey ben, honey ben. Anyway, so this honey, our ahankara is very, very sweet to us. That is why we want to protect our ahankara. Nobody should tell me anything. Nobody should know that I do not know this. People don't know sometimes English will say, yes, yes, yes. Sometimes wrongly they say yes, yes. We will say that, are you idiot? So he said, yes, yes, yes. He will say, So, why he doesn't want to declare? He wants to protect his ego. That is why we have defensiveness. Suppose we have committed a mistake. How simple it would be just to admit and say sorry. It doesn't happen. People will try to say, no, I was not wrong. He only started, he did this, therefore I had to do this. So much. Inside, sometimes he knows also. Sometimes that also he doesn't know. But sometimes he knows that he was wrong, but protect. Ahankara is ego is very dear. And we want to embellish this ego. Therefore, we want so many titles, so much appreciation from others. Everybody should say, you are wonderful, you are great, you are nice. Some people have this weakness little more, and that's why that person can be easily cheated. What you have to do is you have to simply say, "You are such a nice person. You have done so much for family. Family doesn't do anything for you. You are really an embodiment of sacrifice." People don't understand. I understand. This person is melted. And whatever the person who is flattering asks, he will give. One lady was telling me this. He said, "Swamiji, if somebody praises me, then whatever that person asks, I will give." This is because of what? Love for ego, love for one's image. How much we become image conscious. My look, the opinion, judgments of people, how people should judge me. And that is where we have a judgment about the judgment people have about me. Means I think that this person is thinking like this about me. So I have a judgment about the judgment about me. Unnecessary. And many times these are wrong. You think that that person thinks I am very great, he may not be so. And other way around also, you think that this person, he looks down upon me, he thinks I am not good, may not be so. But we are so conscious of knowing. That is why if in the class, if I ask some question, nowadays, I mean this class I don't ask, but if I ask, people will be very conscious about it. Generally say, no, no, no. Or something, only throat problem. Something they will say. Throat problem come that time only. All these image. So, and when you are image conscious, you become a complicated person because you have to manipulate. And that manipulation will lead to further tension, further complication, and so many other mistakes you will do it, and again you will look down upon yourself because of mistakes. Therefore, simple thing is don't give too much importance for protection of ego. We need not be image conscious. We love to be what we are. I love myself to be what I am. I am a creation of the Lord to begin with. So I am the creation of Bhagavan, and therefore I am okay. Whatever improvement requires, Bhagavan will help me to do it. Right now, I am okay the way I am. I will try to improve wherever required so that my life is better, other people's life is better, but I do not have any complex. It's not that easy. You can see that every day how many times we try to protect our ego. And in fact, most of the time, the fight happens between the husband and wife or parents and children. One of the strong reason is ego. Parents will say that my son he doesn't call me regularly, and son may have his own reason. He said he whenever I call him, he complains about my wife. So and so it amounts to insult. All this, if we don't have ego, our life will be much more smooth. Anyway, but this ego is very dear to us, and therefore it is called Madhu. And what does Bhagavan do? He destroys our ego. How? By giving us the knowledge of the truth of ego. And you know what the truth of ego? Ego, the truth of ego is it is mithya. Really, it is not there. Ego doesn't have any reality. It is a virtual reality which we are protecting. Sometimes you think you have a particular image and you try to protect that image, which is not there in the mind of people. That's what is happening. So by the grace of the Lord, we understand that the truth of ego is Paramatma. Ego as ego does not have a place, does not have a real locus. And that's why Bhagavan, being the giver of the knowledge of the truth of ego and destroying this ego, he is called Madhusudana. And also when you surrender to Bhagavan more and more, your ego is reduced. That way also Madhusudana. So that Bhagavan Sri Krishna told the following sentence to Arjuna. What did he say? He said in the next verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Kutasva Kashmalamidam
शुभस्त्वा कस्मलमिदं
Vikshame Samupasthitam
विश्वे समुपस्थितम्
Anarya Jushtamasvargyam
अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम्
Akirtikaram Arjuna.
अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन
Shri Bhagavan Vacha. We have seen the meaning of Bhagavan. Bhagavan means was one who has got Bhaga, glories, sixfold glories. He is called Bhagavan. What are the sixfold glories? Aishwaryasya samagrasya Viryasya yashashashriyah Jnanasyata viragasya Shannam Bhaga iterana. Six qualities are called Bhaga. Aishwarya, overlordship. He is the Lord of all. And Virya, strength. Then Yasha, fame. Shri, wealth. Jnanam, knowledge. And Vairagyam. These six qualities are called Bhaga. And Bhagavan has, the Lord has got them in complete measure. Therefore, it is called Bhagavan. Shri, even though it is included in this Bhaga itself, separately mentioned because it is a special quality. And Shri has got one more meaning, effulgent, majestic. But that Lord, majestic Ishvara, too. What did he say? Hey Arjuna, last. Hey Arjuna, idam kashmalam, this dejection, this impure, wrong thinking, kutaha tva samupasthitam. Kuta means from where? From where did this wrong thinking, dejection, samupasthitam has come tva to you? This kashmala, this wrong thinking, this confusion, or even other meaning is dejection, low spirit, where from it has come? Why Bhagavan is saying this? Because Arjuna, you were not like this before. It is something like somebody is known for his bravery, that he has faced the lion, he has faced tiger and all this. And now you see him running, chased by a cat or a rat. So what will you say? What? You are supposed to be facing the tiger, you have been telling tiger and lion and all this, and you are running because of this rat and cat. So similarly, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, you are Shura Shiro Mani. One Tigakara uses the word, you are the gem of all these heroic people. And to you, how come this thinking, this low spirit, the dejection has come? And also, this is not a time for that. Vishame, in wrong time. This is not a time for such emotional issues. For everything there is a time. So when important thing is to be done and at that time you say that my mood is not that, etc. That is not correct. This is a crucial thing. That when fighting is going to start, that this war, this soldier will say, no, today I don't mood. मन नहीं होता है, so चला जाता है. So that is not correct. So Vishame means in wrong place and wrong time. For everything there is a time and place. And Arjuna, in this wrong time, at this wrong moment, how come this rejection, this type of confusion has come to you? Kashpala literally means impurity. impurity or dosha. So how come this defect, this problem of this dejection, wrong thinking has come to you? And it is not something which is to be entertained by noble people. Therefore, it says anaryam. This wrong, anarya jushtam. This wrong thinking is not entertained by Arya. Jushtam means entertained. Arya Jushtam means entertained by Arya, noble people. Anarya Jushtam means not entertained by right people, noble people. Here the word Arya has come. And some of you might be familiar with this word Arya. And there is a theory that Aryans have come from this northwest, from Germany somewhere. And original people are the South Indians, Dravidians. And these are coming from abroad, from elsewhere. They are Arya. And you are Anarya. And these British historians, they try to create this divide by developing this theory that there is Aryan invasion. Therefore, somebody wrote the book Aryan Invasion, which was not there. So, this theory was created to create a divide. British people wanted to create this thinking that you yourself are foreigner. Then why do you object for our coming who are foreigner? You are also foreigner, I am also foreigner, so let us be together. So really speaking, Arya does not mean a particular community or particular race. Arya means a dharmic person. I will give you the definition of Arya. Arya means kartavyam acharan karyam. One who does what is to be done. And akartavyam anacharan, not doing what is not to be done. This is a very simple principle of life. If one leads one life based on this, his life will be wonderful. What? Doing what is to be done, not doing what is not to be done. Simple. With reference to everything. Eating, talking, giving, not giving. With reference to everything, this is the principle. Doing what is to be done, not doing what is not to be done. Sometimes I am supposed to give my verbal response. It is to be done. I speak. Sometimes I am not supposed to talk. Quiet. Remain quiet. Everybody, if one follows this principle, everybody follows this principle in society, there is no problem. Problem happens why? Because what I am supposed to do, I don't do. I am supposed to pay tax, I don't pay. And I am not supposed to violate the traffic rules, I violate. I violate so many laws, you know. तो हिंदी में बोलते हैं चोरी करना पाप नहीं पकड़ा जाना पाप. Means what? Doing wrong thing is not papam. Getting caught is papam. So all your efforts should be what? For avoiding getting caught. Keep doing what wrong things you are doing. That type of thinking. Whereas Arya means a noble person, is the one who does what is to be done. Commitment to what is to be done. Pujya Swamiji used to highlight this so much. He says life means what? Keep doing what is to be done. When his Shatabhishekam was there, that time he told. He said, how we grow old and become like this? Means get whatever it is. Because he said, keep doing every day. Keep doing every day what is to be done. Don't worry about what will happen at the age of 50, 60, etc. Don't worry. Keep doing. If it is a planning to be done after retirement, that is also a plan to be done. So do it. But people, in spite of having this financial security, also still worried. When you are committed to what is to be done, you need not bother about it. If you keep doing what is to be done, Bhagwan will do what he has to do. But what happens that we don't do what is to be done and then we expect Bhagwan to do what he is supposed to do. That doesn't work that way. If you don't pay premium, then you cannot get insurance amount. So we have to do both. Keep doing. So kartavyam acharan karyam, akartavyam anacharan. With reference to food also. Eat what? Eat what is to be eaten. And don't eat what is not to be eaten. Same thing. Everywhere follow this principle. Do what is to be done. Avoid what is not to be done. And tishtati prakrutachare. And one who follows the appropriateness, appropriate behavior. Sometimes it is not right or wrong. Sometimes it is what is appropriate in a given situation. Like if we go to some South Indian house, traditional Brahmin's house, those who follow so much achara, there they expect that you should not sit touching your lips. You should drink water keeping the glass above. It is not like a sort of dharma shastra, but they follow that, follow it. You should not give with left hand. So don't give. So right hand. So follow. Follow the customs people are following, especially when they are not against dharma. If wrong customs is there, that is only in their house anybody goes, they will have drink. That custom you will not follow. If it is against your dharma, even though it is their custom, you will not follow. But certain things don't matter, whether you drink like this or drink sipping it. So they like it, you follow it. So whatever is appropriate. The pradakshina around the temple is to be done in a particular way. So do it then. No, I don't like. I like to do both ways, clockwise, anti-clockwise. If that is a custom there, follow it. Why should we bring our ego? No, I do what I want. Okay, they are doing it, and that is the way to do it. Do it that way. So one who follows the etiquette of a given society, that also is prakritacharya. Saha vai arya iti smritaha. That person is called arya. So arya does not mean the group of people who have come from other countries. Arya means a person who is dutiful, who is doing what is to be done, avoiding what is not to be done, and one who follows the customs of the society, given society. That person is called Arya. And Bhagavan says, the people who are Arya, noble, they have got particular way of thinking, and your thinking is not entertained by such people. Arya Dushtam is entertained by noble people. Anarya Dushtam is not entertained by noble people. So Arjuna, your dejection, your withdrawal, running away from this duty, that is not entertained by noble people. And Asvargyam, it will not lead to any higher loka. And Akirtikaram, Akirtikaram has both the meanings. It will not bring good fame. And Akirti Viruddharte, it will bring ill fame. Arjuna, you will be known as a coward, a weak person, and therefore this is not proper for you. That's what he says in the next shloka. Klebyam masmagamah partha naitattvayupapadyate ksudram hridaya daurbalyam tyatvotishtha parantapa. So Bhagavan addresses Arjuna, Hey Parantapa. Paran Shatrun Tapayati iti Parantapa. One who is able to scorch the enemies means one who is able to give proper befitting reply to the enemy. That is called Parantapa. So Bhagavan uses appropriate words to motivate Arjuna. Parantapa, Arjuna, you are like this. And therefore what? Klebyam masma gamaha partha. Hey Arjuna, do not resort to Masmagama means do not resort to klebyam, unmanliness. Very strong word Bhagavan uses. This is a klebyam. Your all features, you have got all the mustache and all, so you look like a man, but your behavior is not like that. Unmanly, unmanliness, masmagama. Don't resort to that. And etat tvai na upapadyate. This is not befitting for you. This is not befitting in you. That type of klebyam, you are known for your heroism. And this type of cowardice is not befitting to you. Therefore, what? Kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta. Tyaktva means having given up. Hridaya daurbalyam, the weakness of the heart, weakness of the mind, which is kshudram, which is very mean. Give up this. Uttishta, get up. Why Bhagavan is telling get up? Because if you remember Upavishata, in the first chapter end, what was said? He was sitting. And sitting stands for what? Sitting stands for withdrawal from the duty. Uttishta means what? Be ready for your duty. इसलिए हिंदी में बोलते हैं क्यों बैठे? So why are you sitting? Sitting like this is why are you not doing your duty? Get up means be ready for your duty. Why Bhagavan is saying like this? In this manner, using very strong words, because one thing it is like a flogging the fallen horse, that to get him up. Second thing is, by using such words, Bhagavan wanted to make Arjuna empty himself. So that Arjuna can, if something is still there in his heart, he can empty. He can express it. So that Bhagavan can give his teaching. Because if Arjuna already has something to express, then he will not have full concentration on what is being told by Bhagavan. To receive something, you have to empty yourself. So Bhagavan used these strong words so that Arjuna will come out with some explanation, justification from his side, why he is doing what he is doing. And that will be from the next sloka. We will read in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari